I'm Joe Boisture with QBU, sitting here with Western Michigan's second-year coach, Lance Taylor. So thank you so much for having me, welcoming me into your office, and have a great conversation.
Thanks, Joe. Excited.
Yeah. So if you just wanted to start off to the listeners and people watching, just a quick background of your coaching career. It's pretty extensive. If you wanted just to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, appreciate you having me today. Excited to be on and talk a little football with you. This is my second year as a head coach here at Western Michigan. Really my 17th year in coaching. I played football at the University of Alabama. When I got done playing there, I became a graduate assistant there for Coach Nick Saban. I've spent 10 years coaching college football from Alabama to Appalachian State, Stanford, Notre Dame, Louisville, now here at Western Michigan. I also spent 6 years in the NFL coaching with the New York Jets and Carolina Panthers, and I've been fortunate enough to be around some really great coaches, some great programs, and some great players.
For sure. Christian McCaffrey, I believe, is one of the players that you had a great influence with, so that's always cool to see. With that being said, quarterback specific, quarterback seems to be kind of a hot topic in terms of recruiting and of that sorts. What are some things you look for out of high school quarterbacks, their physical attributes, and then we'll touch on maybe the intangibles that they have upstairs?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we always look for, whether it's quarterbacks or any position that we recruit, we have position critical factors. Some of them are physical, most of them are intangibles. And I think that from playing the quarterback position, listen, great quarterbacks come in all shapes and sizes.
For sure.
I've been fortunate enough to be around some great quarterbacks that, have been all shapes and sizes. I was around Cam Newton with the Carolina Panthers, but also on the other side in our division was Drew Brees.
Right.
Two very different size attributes in quarterbacks. And so, I think that a lot of people look for, height or arm talent, but to me, it's the mental makeup and it's the intangibles that really make a quarterback special.
With that being said, what are some of the things that a younger quarterback coming into campus, at any level probably, that they may struggle with or need to work on coming into campus?
Yeah, I think it's that mental toughness. I think that, that's one of the things that, when you talk about intangibles that we look for, it's mental toughness, it's leadership, it's work ethic, and it's decision making.
Absolutely.
Those are the four things when you talk about the intangible piece that young quarterbacks, and really all quarterbacks, need to continue to develop as they mature into really good quarterbacks. I mean, the mental toughness piece of it, for the first time, you're not the best player on the field.
For sure, yeah.
Or maybe not even the best player in your own room,
right?
Especially for some young quarterbacks, which is difficult.
Yeah.
You're learning a new playbook. It's probably more offense than you've ever had to learn or digest, and so that comes into piece, that mental toughness piece of it. The decision making, not to put the ball in jeopardy, to know where to go and put people in the right places, is very important. And then the leadership and work ethic. As you know, the quarterback, you have to be the leader of the offense.
Absolutely.
You're the person that everybody looks to when things aren't going well. And listen, when things are going well, nobody needs a leader, right? I mean, you don't need a quarterback, you don't need a head coach when everything's going great. But when things aren't going well, that's when they want to look at you.
Right, and be the guy to come to comfort and leadership and all the great things that come with it. And like as you said, when things are going well, the quarterback position it's the best thing in the world, but you throw a pick six in the fans and the coaches, and so it's really important in my eyes, based off of what you said with the leadership, and just always having that mental toughness, because you're going to be tested and put into tough situations when you decide to play college football. Agreed with you 100% there. What are some common questions that you see from guys aspiring to play college football that you could quickly answer, whether it's just common things from parents or players or things like that?
Yeah, I think that the questions really need to be your questions. What are the things that are most important to you?
Right.
The advice that I give parents and recruits are, you need to sit down and figure out what are the things that are important for me to help reach my goals on and off the field. And really your questions as you go to each school to interview them to see which school best fits you really need to be based on what your criteria is and what your critical factors are. Because what you're looking for in a school may be different than what I'm looking
Right.
for in a school. So we shouldn't be asking the same questions.
Makes sense.
And so ultimately your, interview sheet, your prep sheet, really you should interview all those schools based on those questions and that criteria that's important to you. And so I think that that's important. And then, I always think it's about the people.
Yeah.
Wherever you go, surround yourself with the right people, the people that are going to help you grow and develop in all areas of your life, not just as a football player, but also as a man. For me as a head coach, the reason I got into coaching was because the people outside my parents who had the biggest impact on my life, they were my coaches. Right. And I'm sitting here today because of a lot of, the guidance, the accountability, the opportunity that they gave me. They helped me grow and develop and help me become a man.
Absolutely. And you, is it 105 guys on the roster? Is that typically how it is? So you're responsible for a lot of different personalities and just being that positive role model. I'm sure that's what a lot of guys look for in a school. So that's great that you started that going into your second year. As it relates to now we're in college, what is a common game week routine for the quarterbacks or maybe the offense, whether just to show the in-depth of what goes into going into a game, whether it's the film, the practice? Could you just elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, I tell you, the quarterback position is so different than any other position. I mean, you're really, it's almost coach-like preparation as you lead up. One, you're going to come in Sunday after the game, after you just played on Saturday. Doesn't matter how sore or tired you are. Doesn't matter how much you traveled or what time you got in. If it was a late game, you're going to come in Sunday and you're going to immediately grade and evaluate what you did in the last game. What did I do well? What do I need to do better? What can I learn as I move forward?
Right.
Then you're going to immediately put that game to bed, and on Sunday night, you should start opponent prep for the next opponent. You should start watching and evaluating their first couple of games, just getting an idea of the defense that you're going to play against, the personnel that you're going to play against. And then from there, each day you're going to prepare something a little bit different. On Monday, it should be your base first and second down prep. On Tuesday, it should be your third down prep. On Wednesday, it should be your red zone prep. On Thursday and Friday, it should be some of those situational preps based on whatever your coach has set up for you. And so that's just extra preparation. That's not even leading, that we're not even talking about the required activities of practice and film study and what your coaches have for you. That's just on your own. And it takes that level of preparation to perform at a high level and perform with confidence on game days. But when you prepare the right way and you put the work in during the week, the confidence shows by your performance on game days.
Absolutely. And the teammates get to see, they'll hear about it, they'll see you coming in, going late, and it's just another leadership quality you can, help yourself with by constantly being here, doing the extra work. And that kind of leads into my next thing is the chemistry and how important it is for the quarterback to have great chemistry with not only the whole team, but especially with the guys that he's going to be getting the ball to. So whether it's the receivers, tight ends, running backs, the skill guys, what do you have any advice or recommendation to help grow on that with the specific receiver or the unit and really make it one, whether it's the quarterback with the receivers or vice versa?
Yeah, I think chemistry is such an important quality and component, especially when you talk about football being a team sport, and when you talk about offensive football in general. On offense, it takes all 11 players doing their job and working together to have a successful play.
Absolutely.
And especially, specifically when you talk about the quarterback and receivers in the pass game, there needs to be that chemistry. When I was with the New York Jets, we called chemistry, we talked about that chemistry as the me to you factor. There has to be that trust that one, as a receiver or a pass catcher, I'm going to be exactly where I need to be when I'm supposed to be there. You have to have that trust as the quarterback to know that I'm going to be where I'm supposed to be when I'm supposed to be there. And I also have to be able to trust you that you're going to put the ball where it needs to be when it needs to be there. And read the play out just like it needs to be. One of the best examples that I can give you, is when I was with the Carolina Panthers, Greg Olson, who was a tight end for us, he lived with the quarterbacks. I mean, not really. He had his own family. I mean, but when he wasn't at home, he was with the quarterbacks. I mean, and he spent so much time off the field with them, just developing that chemistry. And it really amazed me because it was the first time I had really seen it to that level, where a guy, everything that he did was about building that chemistry and that rapport with the quarterback so that the quarterback could trust him And you saw that on the field on Sundays. I mean, Cam, even when the ball wasn't supposed to go to Greg, a lot of times he was looking for Greg. Or when he would get in trouble and needed an escape, he was going to look because he could trust Greg.
Right.
He knew where Greg was going to be. He knew when he threw it to him, Greg was going to bail him out.
Right.
Greg was going to be there for him. And it was really that chemistry. And so, as I coached receivers in the NFL and in college football, I mean, I said, if the quarterback goes to the bathroom, you're going to, you take him to lunch. You take him, you go buy him a dinner, whatever it takes to build that chemistry. And because if the quarterback trusts you and you have that relationship, I think that it shows up on the field. And that's really what it comes down to is when you have chemistry off the field, that chemistry and that bond and playing for each other shows up on the field as well.
Right, especially in football, playing together is a tight unit. There's no way it's not going to show on game day,
Absolutely.
If you're doing it the right way.
Yep.
So that's a great story.
Well, the opposite works the same way when guys aren't tight-knit, have that bond. That shows up on game days
Absolutely.
as well.
So it's good to see the work and, the relationships. And like you touched on, the relationships you build during this sport, whether, you're in youth or it's a coach or the college or, on Sundays, it'll stick with you forever. And it's just cool to see it transpire through the game of football. What advice would you have to be seen in a sense of recruiting? There's a lot of different things out there. I think a lot of people are confused, but what do you think, and every story is different, but what's a good way if you do have the talent, you do want to play big time Division I football, what would be some routes or avenues they could take to help get them some exposure from a Western Michigan?
Yeah, I think that all parents and really recruits, even from a young age, really are asking themselves that. And I'll start by saying this, and I talk to our players about this all the time, but don't worry about the outcome goals. Don't worry about what it takes to get offers.
Right.
Do the things that it takes every single day to build those championship habits.
Absolutely.
And listen, you will be seen. You will get seen when you do the right things the right way every single day and you build the right habits. If you're good enough, no matter where you are, you will be seen. So don't just chase offers.
Absolutely.
Really chase the things that it takes to be great and master your craft.
Right.
And I think that that's what guys need to really focus on is the process of doing the little things right, doing the little things every single day, and the offers will come. And it may not be a P4 offer.
Right.
It may not be a Division I offer, but there will be opportunities
Absolutely.
to play if you're good enough and you work at mastering and perfecting your craft. I think in terms of getting seen and being evaluated, go to camps. Do as much as you can to compete. I think our generation or this generation is a little bit sometimes fearful. I don't want to put bad tape out there.
Right.
Go compete, whether it's 7-on-7s, whether it's going to a camp and working out for a coach. I mean, there's nothing wrong with putting yourself out there and having that fear of failure because that's the only way that we can learn and grow is to put ourselves out there and expose, what could be failure, but learn and grow from that and try to find ways to continue to get better. But that's the process that we talk about.
Right. And I heard, pressure is a privilege, and when you put yourself out there, if you're a little uncomfortable or maybe there's a top guy in the state that you're going to go against, it will all make you better in the long run, because if you are fortunate enough to be in a pressure situation, you're going to be better off because you went through all of that, whether you're playing on Saturday at Western Michigan, but you'll be better off just putting yourself out there and really just competing and working on your tool. Any off the field issues that that players could get involved with that would be very beneficial for them, whether it's academics, community service, in the schools you see players more involved in the communities, which is a great thing. Is that something you've seen help guys in the past to get a little exposure and just kind of build on that, the type of person you are?
Well, I mean, I think the first thing that you need to do is you need to be great in the classroom. Right. I mean, I think education is so important. It's one thing that, I've always preached, I believe in. It's the one thing that, they can never take away from you is your education. At some point, football is going to be over for
Absolutely.
us. So, what have you done to prepare yourself for the rest of your, life after football? And so education is so important. But, I mean, we talk to, when we go in schools to recruit, I mean, we talk to everybody. We talk to professors. We talk to guidance counselors. We talk to, PE teachers. It's not just your football coaches, or it's not just your family, it's not just your team. I mean, we talk to everybody in the school, and so I think that when teachers speak very highly of a student athlete, it really gets us excited because we have a phrase in our program. It's how you do anything is how you do everything. I think that when you are a person that has great habits and do all the little things that it takes to be great on the field, that's probably the same thing that you do in the classroom.
Right.
I also think serving your community, having community service events. I mean, it's the same thing. When we hear positive, positive character references from the community, that speaks so highly of a young man, and those are the type of young men that we want to bring into our program. And so I think that it really just helps prepare you for life.
Yeah.
And it gives you other people that can give you those character references and speak highly of you, that will help give you opportunities for other places to play.
Absolutely. As it pertains to recruiting, obviously has changed dramatically over the past couple of years. What is the biggest thing, the biggest changes you've seen, whether it was when you were at Appalachian State or when you were at Notre Dame to today, 2024? What's the biggest changes you've seen in the recruiting world?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really the recruiting websites. Social media has really changed the game because to me, if you're a really good player, we can find you now.
Right.
It's so much easier. It's when I first got into coaching, it was the world of sending in your highlight tapes via VHS.
I think I did that.
We were just like I can remember at Alabama, one of my jobs was to go through those VHS and convert them, and put them into the system and log them and log each one and create a file for each one. And so that part has really changed. Now we have everything digitally, and we can watch it whether it's Huddle or YouTube or online. And there's so many recruiting services now that rank players and really evaluate a lot of players. So to me, those are the things that have really changed. But all of those things help give us information and pieces of the puzzle as we are recruiting guys.
Sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes it could be a bad thing for the player if they haven't handled their business.
Correct.
With social media, it's very easy for you to go on their Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, and if there's questionable stuff, you don't want to be those guys. You want to make sure, like you said, in the community, academics, and just being a great leader and having all that social media. I think players need to be aware of it on what they post, because I feel like guys are definitely looking at that at the next level. Any final words as it pertains to Western Michigan football, what you have upcoming, what you're looking forward to, and just kind of a closing statement as it pertains to Western Michigan football?
Yeah, no, I appreciate you taking this time with me today. It's been great to talk about recruiting and quarterback play. I'm really excited going into our second year, going into year two. I think that, we've had a great off season. We're bringing back a lot of veteran presence on this team, and I think that in year one last year, we built a great foundation, really raised the standard, and built a great culture. And that's really what it's about. Is it's about being it's about the people. I've talked about the people, but really, I'm excited about the guys in that locker room because it's a close-knit brotherhood. It's a family environment, and I'm excited to see those guys really take the next step this year. We've done a great job in recruiting. We want to be able to recruit this state at a really high level. I think for our level of football, there are a lot of really good players in this state, and we want to be able to keep them home and keep them here. And to me, at Western Michigan, you can achieve all your dreams on and off the field. I mean, you can get a great degree. We've got a great business school and great university, but also you can go play at the highest level. We just had Marshawn Nealon drafted in the second round. We've put a ton of guys in the NFL, and we also want to be able to compete for some MAC championships.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're a busy guy, and best of luck this year.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
All right,
appreciate
Coach.
it. Yep.
Thanks.